Gina here with Hollywood Haunter. Every year we are inspired by home haunters to make props. This year, while touring Pumpkin Jacks, we saw rotten pumpkins. They were so cool. They were made from cotton balls, expanding foam, and then painted. It was so fantastic. We had to share with you guys how to do it.
Yes, we've carved pumpkins. We've made flickering pumpkins. We've set up pumpkin displays. We've even made giant pumpkins. But we've never made moldy, rotten pumpkins.
Until today.
We're going to be using 3 varieties of pumpkins today. The thrift store pumpkin, the Dollar Tree pumpkin, or the larger craft store pumpkins.
So let's go spice things up.
Yeah.
Let's start with our Dollar Tree pumpkin. First, we don't need this stem. And now let's draw a face. Now that we have our face, I'm gonna go ahead and carve it out using a knife I got from a pumpkin carving kit. We also want to cut around the top. Now it's nice, there's already a circle right here, so I'm just gonna trace that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right out. Yay!
He's feeling a little hollow inside.
Now time to use the heat gun. And it's gonna start to expand, and it's gonna get larger in some spots. And once I see that, then I can kind of determine where I really want to start pushing it in and making it lopsided. And
it doesn't take much either. I mean,
no.
She barely hits that thing and it melts.
Let's try to collapse an eye and see what that looks like this time. So I'm gonna go from the top right here and see I can start squishing. Oh yeah.
Spongy.
Ooh. There we go.
This is actually one of the more fun parts to do.
Oh man, this is so much fun, you guys.
So satisfying.
It is. It is so satisfying.
The side splits on these a little bit, so
We'll have to fix that. Turn the heat gun off, hold it down, and let it cool. Oh man, poor guy. He's seen better days. I'm gonna have some fun and fold this down a little bit too. I'm gonna try to keep the eye though. I'm gonna stay away from it. Come over here. There we go. There. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. That's so fun. He's all squished. Poor guy. I really like that. I think I'm done.
we kind of want this top to, I guess it already doesn't fit very well, but
Now it's not going to fit well, but you know what? It looks like I carved a piece of foam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it and it's going to kind of curl around right here. I'll show you guys.
it's like an air hockey puck.
There you go.
One of the cool things that we do every year when we go to the pumpkin patch is we pick up all the broken stems on the ground. And that way we can use them for any kind of pumpkin projects that we got going on.
Yeah.
Like this one. He needs a stem, Gina.
Look at that one. That one's good. I'm just going to cut it down a little bit.
I think we should put it in the chop saw.
Yeah, we should put it in the chop saw.
If the pumpkin carving saw is all you have, then we'll see you in about an hour. We'll just stick that on with a toothpick and we'll put some great stuff in there to glue it down. Dear Gord, that's a huge crack. We need to fill that sucker. For filling the crack, I'm gonna use the window and door great stuff, only because it doesn't swell up as much. And you don't need a gun to do this. I just really prefer using this because you have so much control with these things. It's definitely worth the extra money. The first thing I'm gonna do to make it a little bit easier though is I'm gonna add a little bit of tape to the back side of this just to help prevent the great stuff from oozing inside. You don't have to do this, but we're just trying to
Contain it.
We use great stuff to glue all our foam and repair our foam sculptures. And this gun, I know my mouth's all watering. Oh, great stuff. It makes my mouth water. We'll wait for that to swell up. We can either use a Dremel or some sandpaper and give it a light sand after this is all cured. You don't need to worry about getting this thing too gorgeous yet because Gina's gonna come back over this with some paint and cotton and you won't see any of the great stuff blemish anyway. Now that the great stuff's all cured, I can remove my tape Now I'm going to go through and smooth over some of this cured great stuff using a Dremel with a sanding drum. If you don't have this, some sandpaper or a razor blade could do the same thing. Do it at an angle. Right?
Yeah, always do it at an angle. That way it looks more realistic.
There we go. Pull out this stem. We're not going to be needing it.
I've never used a heat gun on one of these craft pumpkins before, so this is going to be interesting. Let's see what happens. You can see the skin starting to bubble a little bit.
I left about an inch or so foam thickness, but I guess if we thinned it out a little bit, it might be easier for you to bend a little bit, so I'm not sure. The heat is on.
Oh yeah, you can see that underneath.
The heat is on. There you go, I like that.
Yeah.
Curl that in on that top there. I like that idea.
This hurt.
Yeah. It'd be cool if we made one lid fall all the way through.
Yeah.
You know, and be on the bottom and side down. Gina, how do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern?
I don't know. How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern?
With a pumpkin patch. Looks like a pumpkin whoopee cushion.
I love the way that this turned out. That was a lot of fun. And I like the skin on it too. You guys are thinking about making bigger pumpkins. Also an option is paper mache. Cathy, LeBeau, and Jay Olson of Unhinged Productions, they both have really great tutorials on how to do that.
We were actually thinking about doing a couple of different methods of either doing the cotton ball and liquid latex. The other thing was the paper towels dipped in latex paint, and then you can kind of move it around and create wrinkles and stuff. It's a little time consuming. For this purposes of this video, we were just trying to fly through this a little bit.
Halloween is coming, hurry!
Yeah, but if you guys want to add lots of detail, there's definitely a lot more tricks to do.
Yes.
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do with these thrift store garage sale type pumpkins is I removed the light in the cord and the bulb from underneath, got rid of that. The next thing I'm going to do is take the same little pumpkin carving tool Gina used, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to just kind of open up these eyes, nose, and mouth areas, kind of look as if the pumpkin's been sitting out in the sun, and those openings are starting to get bigger and bigger.
Not make it look so sharp and clean.
Exactly. We're going to saw off the top of this stem because we're not going to use these old stems. Another thing I'm thinking about doing is the pumpkin's sitting kind of nice right now, but if I actually widen this hole down below and go a little farther back, I can create different angles and things that this pumpkin's gonna sit. And if I want to get really crazy, I can even take the saw and actually cut from the mouth and go all the way around and basically remove like a pie slice. I'll drill some holes and then I'll use fishing line to stitch it together just to hold it together long enough for the great stuff to get squirted in there. Once the great stuff dries,
I don't know. You just got me craving pie. That's all I'm thinking about now.
I'll just cut this out. This thing, these saws burn through these old pumpkins. Oh snap. That's what was holding it together. So we'll have to grate stuff that back together. All right. So get rid of that ring. Since this thing just cracked in half.
Hey, there's no seeds in there.
No, it's a seedless pumpkin.
Oh, I didn't know they made those.
This guy's trying to go in my ear. Since this old guy just cracked in half on me, I'm gonna go ahead and use it to my advantage and do all the cutting and incision making with two halves, and then I'll just go and glue it back together with my expanding foam. I want this guy to lean back, so I'm gonna go ahead and go a little bit farther back with my cut. I used a Dremel. Tried it, but to be honest with you, this handsaw cut easier for me, so the stuff is very brittle.
It's probably a pretty old pumpkin.
We're ruining the vintageness of this pumpkin.
Wait!
I'm gonna keep trimming off a little bit at a time till I get this thing to sit the way I want to sit. Yeah, see? Got a nice little angle going on.
There you go.
So if any of you do have a Dremel, I'm just using a little sanding drum on there, and I'm going over and taking the edge down a little bit until I'm happy with the angle, which that's pretty good there. Now the next thing I'm gonna do, like I said before, is I'm just gonna take out some of these eyes. Looking at some reference pictures and stuff, usually the triangle kind of starts to get a little more round, doesn't it, Gina?
Yes.
Just take a little bit at a time. And again, because these things are so fragile, you don't want it to crumble on you. What's nice about using the Dremel, if you have one, is you can kind of round over those edges. One of the things I noticed too is that the cut marks always get kind of close too. It starts to shrink. You want it to be a little inconsistent, right?
Mm-hmm. No, you need it to be inconsistent. It's not going to be perfect, no.
The one thing though about these kind of pumpkins though is, unfortunately, if you do use the heat gun on it, this kind of foam just doesn't want to do any kind of bending or manipulating. You can get it soft and it'll move on you, but as soon as it cools back down, it's rigid again. So you have to do all your work with cutting. Got the eyes, kind of deformed the nose a little bit. Now the next thing I'm going to do is get rid of some of these teeth, because a lot of times as these things rot, a lot of all the detail in the teeth kind of curl back and disappear. Being a pumpkin dentist, I'm going to go in there with the Dremel and kind of shape it up a little bit. Now that I'm all done with rounding over all the teeth and getting the mouth the way I want to, I went ahead and I just did another cut and cut this thing in half. All right, and now because it was 4 different pieces, I was getting tired of messing around with it, so I'm gonna go ahead and grate stuff the 2 halves together. To do that, I just quickly tape the outside, and now I'm gonna go through this inside seam with some expanding foam, and then what I'll probably do is make this thing a little crooked or whatever, but for right now it's better for me to just get the 2 halves glued back together. Instead of drilling holes and tying some fishing line together, what I did is I just cut all my pieces up and then kind of put them in the position that I wanted them, took some painter's tape, taped it all together. Then I applied the expanding foam on the inside seams. Then once that was dry enough, I took the tape off and did the outside seams. Then I sanded everything with the Dremel and the sanding drum. There's another option for a rotten pumpkin.
This is a much more realistic pumpkin color, and I'll list it in the description below. If you don't care for the texture of this, there's also a method called corpsing. Monster Tutorials has a great way of putting shrink wrap and heating it with a heat gun to give it a different look. So we've got the base coat, and we painted the inside black as well as around the eyes and the mouth. Now what I'm gonna do is make this pumpkin look a little bit more realistic by doing some blending. First thing I'm going to do is highlight with a lighter color, then I'm going to go in the cracks and do a darker orange, and it's going to really make this pumpkin pop. So first, lighter orange color. Again, I'll post in the description below what colors I'm using, but we're just going to kind of go over the middle of the top of the bump right there of the pumpkin. And we don't want to cover up all our orange, we just kind of want to blend it a little bit in there. And keep moving all the way around the pumpkin. As far as the stem goes, I'm just gonna do some lines and then blend it because it doesn't have any bumps on it, so I'm just gonna make up my own in my head, just to give it a little color on there. I've got my darker orange now. I'm gonna go ahead in all of these creases and create kind of a shadowing effect. You wanna blend it, you don't wanna get it so dark.
It's cool how that adds a dimension to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's all in the painting.
You can see definition in the pumpkin. It's not one solid color. Now let's give them pumpkin to talk about. The moldy paint job. Let's do some black, some white, and green. If you reference a couple pictures online, that's gonna be very helpful. I'm gonna first use black. Let's make the stem moldy around the edge. That's good. We'll just stipple and dab, stipple and dab. You can go super heavy, you can go a little light. No wrong way. So since this part is dark right here, I like to come in with just a little teeny tiny, like it's starting to spread out a little bit, and then I'll get darker. So we've got some black mold forming. Oh no!
The stem is old and moldy.
We squished the pumpkin like this, so I would probably assume there's a lot of fuzzy action going on this side. I'm gonna go ahead and mold this side pretty heavily. Around the eyes a little bit, I'm just gonna go like this.
He's got big bags under his eyes now, like I do. How are we gonna simulate the juice flowing from these things?
That is a very good question. Now that I did a little bit light around there, I'm gonna go back with some darker stabs and get a little bit darker. Paint around the eye, some big black fuzzy spots. Now we'll do a little bit of green. You can rinse your brush out or not. Sometimes it's nice to blend it a little bit.
Oh man, just do the Bob Ross thing.
Yeah, I wish I had a big painter. And I don't like to put the green all over the same place. I like to do it in areas. The thing is the more you layer, the better and more realistic it looks. The white is really gonna make it pop and seem like it's molding. And that, you just lightly stipple. Again, you can go heavy in some areas, maybe over the green a little bit, and then lighter over others, like it's just starting to form. And if you don't like something, start over, paint it. That's the nice thing about paint. All right, so now that we did the white, I do like to go and stipple a little bit in the black around the eyes and the mouth, just to give a little bit more dimension.
Don't stipple the eyes, Mommy.
And remember to twist your brush around so it's not the same stipple pattern over and over again. Or just go back over it.
Do you ever eat trick-or-treat candy while you're making Halloween props?
I eat a lot of candy.
It doesn't matter what time it is.
I eat a lot of chocolate.
Wow, Gina, your spores are so beautiful.
Thank you. You guys, this is so much fun. I'm gonna show you guys how to do a spore look. And it's really easy. Grab yourself an old pencil where the eraser doesn't really work anymore.
Like all our pencils?
And a skewer, a bamboo skewer. And break it in half if you want to, so you can use multiple ends. Same, black paint, white paint, green paint. First thing, take your pencil eraser, get some black paint. We're just gonna make some random dots. Just go ahead and start with some big ones. Right now it looks like a bunch of dots on your pumpkin, but as you saw before, it's not gonna look like that for long.
The leopard pumpkin.
Now that we have that, take the end of your skewer, dip it in paint, and you're gonna get some medium type dots now. And then if you see that you have a line like that, just come back through and go like that. The point of your skewer, just get some little dots going.
Just exactly what is the point? That's pretty cool, Gina.
Yeah.
Lots of different kinds of dots.
Oh, that's really dotty. Okay.
Dotty!
You don't want it to dry completely because we want to wipe some of that away. Then you're going to take a little bit of a damp paper towel, fold it so you can dab. Then I'm just going to go like this. And then take it, because you don't want all of that to go on the same. You're just going to kind of dab it. It's going to pick some of that up and spread it around. Get another new section and then kind of clean it up a little bit. There we go. And look at, see those rings right there? That's awesome. You want some of those.
I do?
You do. And where some of those holes are, I'm gonna come back through and put the green. You can also put a couple little green dots like so if you want. It's always fun to do something and see what the outcome is gonna be. Because at first I was pretty skeptical. I was like, is this gonna work? But it looked pretty good. Go like this. Now we're just gonna use some white. We're gonna go over it with our stippling method like so. Heavy in some areas, lighter in others. Make sure you move your brush around so you're not getting a pattern. Take your paper towel, lift some of that up. So that's a lot right there. Make sure you clean that up because you don't want to lose your black and green underneath. Now I'm going to go in the center right here, fuzz that out a little bit, blend it, just like that. As you can tell, it's a little bit darker up here, so I'll probably wipe some of that off so the orange comes through again.
The mold is spreading.
The mold is spreading.
Taking over the pumpkin. Gord, help us! That looks really good, Gina.
Thanks.
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
So I've got a bag of cotton balls, and what you want to do is you want to just pick them apart. Get teeny tiny little pieces. You'll have more control when placing your mold on your pumpkin. Now that we have this painted to our liking, I'm going to take some Spray 77. It's just spray glue. And on some of these larger pieces, I can spray large areas, like the top of this pumpkin. I want to give it a good coat right here and then stick my cotton balls on there. We have a couple more large sections where I'm going to put cotton balls. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit those spots. Now I'm just taking the pieces of cotton and sticking it on there. That's looking good.
Very fuzzy.
Very fuzzy. All right, now I just want to put a little bit of fuzz right through here and through here. So I don't want to spray the whole thing because then it's going to make the pumpkin tacky. So what I'm going to do, just spray a little bit on the plate, take one of these Q-tips, get some of it. And the nice thing is there's cotton on the end, so it doesn't matter if we get it here, but I've made some little spots right here. Just gonna put some dabs of glue right here. I'm gonna take just the smallest piece of cotton and just give it just a little bit of fuzz. Like that's way too much. Nice thing is you can take it off because I really want to keep the detail of the paint. But yeah, just a little bit of fuzz. And get those long pieces and push those down because you don't want any long cotton ball hairs.
Start to look like a Beetlejuice pumpkin face. What would happen if you just stick the whole cotton ball on there and then when you peel it away, some of it leaves?
You can do that except for the fact that it is more stringy.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend grabbing it down. I mean, you can always peel off the extra and keep moving forward. Looks great. Nice and fuzzy.
I'm waiting for the plate to stick to Gina's fingers. I got a little joke for you, Gina.
Sure.
What do you get when you drop a pumpkin?
I don't know. What do you get when you drop a pumpkin?
Squash.
You guys might want to wear gloves. Even though I really like what I have going on here, I'm going to go ahead and add some more black right here and just touch up that mold spore spot a little bit more. I'm just going to come in here and just dab black. And I want to make it spotty so it looks like mold, not paint. Just like it's starting to form. Little dots is the best if you can do it. And move your paintbrush around so you don't get a pattern going, you know. Now I did already put cotton right here, but I think by just going over it lightly with the black, it'll still work out okay. Chris, how's your pumpkin coming along?
It's awesome. Booyah!
I don't think that's the right look we're going for.
I'm moldy as pumpkins.
Don't forget, because we carved the top, you can add a light. Let those rotten pumpkins glow a few more nights. And I know some of you are wondering, well, yeah, what if it rains? I don't know, let's see.
It will mold quicker.
It's pretty wet. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, how does
Yeah.
that? Is it sticky?
It just feels like cotton, but it just goes down and I'm sure it'll dry out again. This is what we started with, and this is what we end with. You guys, this project was so much fun. I really suggest you guys do one of these. If you have a community where you do make and takes, this would be an awesome make and take project, and you could definitely get one of these done in an hour or two. I just love all the different combinations, testing things out, mold on the inside, mold on the outside, different spores, a lot of mold, a little mold, black mold, green mold. This was a blast. I will definitely be doing more of these in the future. If you guys have any recommendations for rotting pumpkins, please let us know in the comments below. Also, let us know which technique or pumpkin was your favorite.
Those pumpkins are gorgeous.
If you like this video, please subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be notified on our future videos.
And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Here we go.
Shall we dance?
Be sure to subscribe. Any questions?
Christmas?
Hey, Harrison! Harrison! Cover your ears! Cover your ears!
Louder!
Hey man, we're making Halloween gourds. We're not singing Christmas carols yet.
My ears!
It must be the cold popsicle.